Up next on Art Rocks, Opéra Louisiane marks a decade of inspiring Baton Rouge audiences with the majesty of the human voice.
I was at the symphony and I saw Robert Grayson. He came up to me and he said, "Amanda, I think the time is right to begin an opera company in Baton Rouge."
And the man turning one man's trash into another's artistic treasure. That's all next on Art Rocks.
Like the impulse that drives an artist's creativity, Georgia Pacific's 850 Louisiana employees are driven to produce quality paper products for your home and business. Georgia Pacific is proud to support LPB and Art Rocks.
And by Lamar Advertising Company, proud to support the arts and Art Rocks. Headquartered in Baton Rouge, Lamar's 461 Louisiana employees have been helping brands and businesses reach their customers creatively for over 100 years.
Art Rocks is made possible by the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting and by viewers like you.
Hello and welcome to Art Rocks with me, James Fox Smith, publisher of Country Roads magazine. Today we're marking a major milestone for Baton Rouge-based Opéra Louisiane. That's 10 years of bringing professional quality opera to capital city stages. The inspiration for this bold young company was born in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, but out of despair came courage, creativity, and a commitment to excellence born on soaring human voices.
Opera's been here longer than it's been in New York, and so it's something that we really see as an important element to continue.
Researchers can document opera staged in New Orleans as early as 1796, while George Washington was president, and believe performances were taking place in the Crescent City even earlier than that. New York's Metropolitan Opera dates from 1883, and by comparison, it's been only a decade since Louisiana's capital city finally got its own opera company. But since then, audiences have been making up for lost time.
It was shortly after Katrina, around 2006, I was at the symphony and I saw Robert Grayson, who was head of the LSU opera department at the time. He came up to me and he said, "Amanda, I think the time is right to begin an opera company in Baton Rouge." We were able to secure a grant to kick off the first 3 years of our children's opera with the help of the mayor and the city.
To get the ball rolling, Grayson and others assembled some internationally acclaimed stars to launch what has become known as Opéra Louisiane.
We were able to bring in voices like Elizabeth Futral, Susan Graham, Paul Groves.
Just fill my arms the way you filled my dreams.
Some of who were students of Bob, some were just friends of Bob, and we were able to attract this wonderful caliber of talent, and it was a huge success for our city.
Since then, Opéra Louisiane has delivered one full-throated performance after another.
My proudest accomplishment was reducing Wagner's Ring down to 2 hours and having it be such a success.
Fledermaus was hysterical, and we brought friends who had never been to the opera before, and they couldn't believe how funny it was, and it was almost embarrassing. They were laughing so loud.
I'm certainly proud of Madame Butterfly, of the Elixir of Love, our big scale productions. Those were huge accomplishments for our company, but one of the productions that I am fondest of was our production of Falstaff back in 2014. We had an artist who backed out kind of last minute, and he was a good artist, but we ended up replacing him with Todd Thomas, who is one of the greatest baritones of our current time. People had so much fun, and they came to me afterwards and said, I didn't realize opera could be so fun, and man, that voice was just incredible. So to have an artist of that caliber come and perform for our company was truly an incredible moment for me.
As the opera company grew, people moved on and staffing needs changed. Leanne Clement stepped into the lights as General Director in 2011. Notwithstanding the opera's successes, mind you, it has had its challenges too.
The biggest challenges are financial. Opera is expensive. It's one of those art forms that it requires a lot of people. It requires an orchestra, a large crew to run the backstage, obviously the singers to bring in that talent, where those people stay. So the biggest challenge for us is funding. The majority of our funding comes from individuals who are very generous, but also through grants and a few corporations, a few that have really made a huge difference over the years. Our Roy Martin Foundation, that company has given to us consistently every year to make sure that we're able to do, especially some of our larger productions, Madame Butterfly, The Elixir of Love, our 10th anniversary gala. And we've also had the support of the Baton Rouge Area Foundation, the Arts Council of Baton Rouge, the Metro Council when we first started.
Ticket sales cover only about 20% of the company's operating costs.
People are definitely going to the opera. The majority of our performances are sold out, but like every other opera company, it only amounts to about 17% of our income, of our total budget, are those ticket sales.
But despite the challenges, artistic director Michael Borowitz observes that when it comes to supporting the operatic arts, Louisiana has much to be proud of.
We're fortunate enough that we can really be as diverse as we want to be. We are able to bring in a good number of singers from all over the country, and we have orchestra musicians right here in Baton Rouge, a really great pool of them that make us proud every time they get into that pit. They love playing for the opera, and they're very good at it, and our audiences are hungry for it. And I'm really proud of the fact that our audiences, as varied as they are, keep coming back because they know we're going to do something interesting and entertaining, and that's what opera should be.
So, what does the future look and sound like for Opéra Louisiane?
I want to expand our children's opera program. I want it to be a statewide program. We want to go to Lafayette, we want to go to Lake Charles, we want to go just all over the state, we want to go to Alexandria.
Over the next 5-10 years, I'd like to see us expand our number of productions. I'd like to see us expand even further our ability to do repertory that people don't necessarily get a chance to see when they go to New Orleans Opera, for example, or Houston. Something new, something interesting. I think we're always going to be treading the edge of what is considered acceptable in the opera world and keeping the art form fresh.
So this is a big weekend for Opéra Louisiane. The Children's Opera is staging Mozart's The Magic Flute on Sunday at 3 p.m. at the Baton Rouge River Center Theatre. The performance is free to kids 18 and under, and for more information, visit operalouisiane.com. No matter where you live in Louisiana, opportunities to connect with the arts are everywhere, if only you know where to look. So here's a list of some of the goings-on coming up around the state. To learn more about these and other events in Louisiana, keep your eyes peeled for a copy of Country Roads magazine. And while we're at it, LPB's Art Rocks website features an archive of previous episodes, so to see any episode again, just log on to lpb.org. Onward now to St. Louis, where artworks that inhabit the intersection between religious and contemporary art have taken center stage at the St. Louis University Museum. Painter Salma Ara-Astu, who works in calligraphy, is among the featured artists. Let's follow Ara-Astu's pen for a moment and see where it leads.
The Museum of Contemporary Religious Art is tucked away in the heart of St. Louis University's main campus. And though it is operated by a Roman Catholic institution, its scope is global and eclectic.
It is the first interfaith museum of contemporary art in the world. The purpose was, from the very beginning, was to have this as a forum for the dialogue between the artists and the great religious traditions. And over the past 23 years, we've been doing amazing exhibitions, I think. And this is one of the most remarkable shows that we've had. I think one of the most beautiful, the top two most beautiful exhibitions. And we're very pleased to have Salma's work here.
Raised as a Hindu, she converted to Islam when she married, and so she brings a background of diverse faith traditions and experiences to her work.
So I did my master's in painting, and in Middle East I got exposure to Islamic arts, which I had never done before. Exposure to calligraphy, Arabic calligraphy, and those very ornate designs around the mosque. So I used to sit and copy this line of Arabic calligraphy. So that's how I think I have arrived where I am today. Yeah.
The art of Arabic calligraphy developed from Islamic tradition forbidding the depiction of God, Muhammad, and the prophets in art. Historically, verses from the Quran have been rendered in beautifully crafted manuscripts, works that have inspired Salma.
Some of the greatest conflicts, some of the most brutal conflicts going on today are based over religious misunderstandings and religious differences. And Salma is a bridge builder. The other artists we've had have tried to do the same thing, but Salma is truly a bridge builder. She wants us to understand that we have more in common than we have in differences.
When people look at those manuscripts, any non-Muslim, when he looks at those manuscripts, he feels, oh, this is Islam, this is Quran. And then they either shy away or shrink back, whatever the reason is, but this is the mindset, you know, that this is Islam, when you look at those manuscripts. So I thought, no, I want to do the way God has trained me. So I brought my fine art techniques and fine art background and skills, you know, and I just started these paintings. So these paintings actually say the verses from Quran, but when a non-Muslim looks at them, he looks at it as a painting, you know. He comes close to read at least what it says. So you see the difference? Like, it's not in high altar now, it's in the public places. So that was my intention, to bring the beauty and the positivity of Quran into mainstream.
When I saw the work, I don't know how to read Arabic calligraphy, I don't understand it. I just saw these wonderful dynamic and elegant shapes. And I thought, this is good art. It's not illustrative art, it's good art. And what she has done, she's got a wonderful dialogue with some of the most important art movements of our day. Abstract Expressionism, for one, you have these very dramatic gestural works here, and that's how Selma paints. And you also have the color field influences, the color field works sometimes by Mark Rothko and others. And there are up to 30 to 40 veils of paint on these canvases. The canvases in our space hang like tapestries. They are not stretched, and there's a slight air current here, and there's always movement, subtle movement here, but it has a liveliness to it that a fully stretched canvas would not have. And so on an art history and just artistic platform alone, these are very strong works. But for those who can read Arabic calligraphy, there's more than that. It leads them into prayers. And there's a sense of peace in these works.
So I think these are the beautiful verses which don't only speak to me, they speak to each heart. Because it's from God, and He speaks to the whole humanity, and He's speaking to the heart. Some of them say that He is with me, don't worry, don't fear, He is with me. Some of them say that remember me, I'll remember you. It's from the verse of Quran, like always remember Him is so important. There are some I tried to do recently with the intention of again this bridging the gap, and that is when I hear so much killing around, in the name of God and in the name of religion. So I created two pieces, which is again a verse from Quran, where Allah says that if you kill one person, it's like killing the entire humanity. And if you save one human, it's like saving the whole humanity. And basically I wanted to project the positive side of Islam in my work.
Her themes, God is with us, fear not, God is listening, mercy for all, these are all consoling works. And while we have differences among the major religious traditions, we have so much in common. And she's making a very important contribution at this time in our history.
Diversity is God's plan. He created us from one pair of male and female. Then He created nations and tribes so that you know each other, to learn from each other, the good values that God has taught to everybody. So I really found it very fascinating, and then I see in the nature, I see different birds, different plants, and we are so happy to see them. But the human beings different, we just can't accept them.
Now to Alexandria, where at the Louisiana History Museum, visitors can learn much about their own ancestry in the facility's genealogy library. But as Timothy Hollingsworth explains, the building also houses a treasure trove of interesting artifacts and documents that relate to early life in Alexandria.
We're here at the Alexandria Genealogical and Historical Library and Museum on Washington Street in Alexandria, Louisiana. Upstairs we have a great genealogy library that spans all of the United States. Downstairs we have a wonderful museum collection of Louisiana history items. We want to welcome you to come in and see our collection today. One of our collections here at the Louisiana History Museum is our Native American collection. All of the items here have been found locally, parts of pottery, arrowheads, etc., or they have been faithfully reproduced by existing tribes in Louisiana today. So you will see some of these items here. Beautifully created baskets, pottery, tools, a wonderful example of the rich Native American history that we have here in Alexandria. Alexandria played a pivotal role in the Red River Campaign. Central Louisiana was where the Union forces trying to flee the Confederates behind them were faced with an engineering dilemma. The rapids in the river prevented their gunboats from going downstream. So a resourceful engineer from Indiana by the name of Mr. Bailey created a dam across the river, probably one of the greatest engineering feats of the Civil War. Probably one of our more poignant pieces here in our collection is his wedding dress from 1867. The bride's father had been a general in the Civil War and had been killed in 1864. In the hem of her dress, the bride sews a lock of her father's hair so that although he of course couldn't literally walk her down the aisle, he could do so figuratively. Just a beautiful piece of plantation Civil War memorabilia that we have in our collection here. Central Louisiana was home to the largest peacetime military training in U.S. history. In 1941, soldiers from 10 states gathered in Central Louisiana to practice war games. And throughout the course of the war, over 500,000 soldiers came through Central Louisiana in preparation for war in Europe and in the Pacific. As a result, we have lots of World War II memorabilia here celebrating our role in the greatest war. This case showcases some of the land grants that were given to settlers from the eastern states to settle North Louisiana after the Louisiana Purchase. The interesting thing about these is they're all signed by presidents. We have two signed by Martin Van Buren, one signed by John Tyler, one by James Polk, one by James Buchanan, but the highlight of our collection is this one from 1861, one of the last ones signed by Abraham Lincoln.
Meet Rochester, New York artist Dan Bentley, who has a deep appreciation for product design and a unique way of breathing new life into discarded household items. You know what they say about one man's trash? Well, here's a look.
That's cool, but it's probably new production. Yeah, made in China.
Thank you very much.
What are you thinking on these?
I would like you to tell me.
I'd give you $1 for it.
You know what? I'll take $1 for it.
My name's Dan Bentley. I'm from Rochester, New York, and I'm an artist that recycles vintage products into sculptures so that we can continue to enjoy them. Old aluminum kitchenware stuff is cool. Schrader's Truly Delicious Hots and Steamers containing round steak. Made in Minnesota. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, these are arms, or bent up, they're good feats. And it's $1. Robot legs, pretty cool. I spent 35 years in product design and really gained an appreciation of iconic design work, and I see a lot of it going by the wayside because it's been replaced by more modern products, and I just think that design is great enough that we need to continue to enjoy it. I kind of realized what I was doing after a year or so of building sculptures, and that everything is turning out to be robots because I'm kind of a robot nut. Blending this obsession with robots with product design, what I found myself doing was showcasing these products. I really enjoy collecting the products, finding the products at the flea market, finding things that represent certain style periods. I wind up with this collection of pieces, and sometimes it's 2 or 3 sets of things I might use for feet, but I just start puzzling pieces together. Lots of masking tape, balancing things up and seeing how they fit, are the proportions right? And once I do, decide that these are the pieces, then I start figuring out how am I going to put them together. So I do a mock-up, and when I'm happy with that, then I disassemble everything, and then I start restoring all the pieces. You know, get everything looking absolutely brand new. I decided that I was not going to build a sculpture that didn't centerpiece at least one iconic design element. You know, once people look past the robot, which is what their first reaction, then they start to realize, oh, that's a percolator, and my mom had one of those, and isn't that cool? You know, or it just brings back a lot of memories for people, and then they realize that because it's great design, you know, it's such well-designed products that just, you know, timestamp certain periods that it really resonates with people. I'll see a product and know that that's going to be a torso, or that's a head, or those are legs, and you know, and I know that has to be pretty much unchanged in the sculpture. My primary goal is people's appreciation of those products that I've chosen to feature. That, you know, past the humor or the whimsy of the robot, they realize that that product that they're looking at is a very cool designed product, and it's just not done like that anymore. I can't let it off the bench. It's not done for me until it makes me smile, that I see that it has a personality, it has a character. Sometimes it's whimsical, sometimes it's more serious. Yeah, it has to have a personality.
And that'll do it for this edition of Art Rocks. But remember, art lover, you can always watch episodes of the show at lpb.org/artrocks. And if that's not enough, Country Roads Magazine is a great resource for enriching your cultural life with art, cuisine, escapes and events all across the state. So until next week, I'm James Fox Smith, and thanks for watching.